Okay, all right. I'm gonna take care of you first. Ow. Or I'm gonna die. That could also happen. Welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday, and actually kind of standing here between episodes was a little disadvantageous because now everyone is down here. Hi, hey guys. Don't get stuck on the statues. Don't really care about the echoes. It was like 1500. Okay, dodge that. Good. Okay. And yeah, in the interim between episodes, the between episodes, I did mention, I vaguely mentioned something that I know about, because we were talking about D&D classes last time, and you might say to yourself, oh, Holiday, you're playing Bloodborne, and you're talking about D&D classes. Did you know that Matt Mercer made a class based on Bloodborne? And yes, I do. I actually looked into it because I thought it was a neat idea. However, looking into it, and definitely not trying to make any sort of statement about Matt's abilities in any way. But it definitely, the Blood Hunter class was definitely not really what I would want to do with the idea. Basically what I would want to do with the idea, and actually I think this might have even been part of the inspiration for it. Basically what I would want to do is, again, I want to copy the mechanics rather than the thematics, where I feel like Mercer focused more on the thematics of Bloodborne, you know, basically everything being tied to blood and you know, the Cthulhu mythos and all that stuff. I feel like that's what he was going for, whereas for me personally, what I would have done and kind of have done in making the Bloody Retaliation feat is, yeah, just focus more on imitating the mechanics of the game rather than the theme. Because, yeah, like I said last episode, I think it's a lot easier to take a theme and fit it to a mechanic than vice versa. Especially if you've got... I think one of the biggest things, and this is kind of just restating what I said last episode, but I think one of the biggest things about making content for a game is thematics in gameplay, right? Or thematics in mechanics, right? I kind of hinted at this idea last time, where I talked about how I don't know how to phrase this, but basically the idea is that I think you should focus on, when you're designing content for a game, and especially stuff for players to play or even play against, right? I think it's more important to have a solid, man, how do I say this? Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I mean, that'll help, but what? How does that not hit? There we go. All right, you come down here first. I want to deal with you one at a time. There we go. All right, yeah, so I think it's a good idea to have a set of mechanics that makes sense, right? It's like, I don't play this game, but I think it's a really good example of this. Magic the Gathering, where I don't know a whole lot about this game, but one thing I do know is that the different colors of decks, because I guess each deck has a specific color to it, the different colors of decks all play differently, right? Like blue cards mechanically are different than red cards. They have a different mechanical theme, right? I guess, again, I don't know how much these terms apply to Magic specifically, but like a burn deck might be, you know, red, whereas a rush deck might be green or something. I don't know the specifics, but hopefully you get my point where each of the different colors has a different mechanic. There's still a summoner around here. I don't think I can get anywhere else from here right now. So I'm gonna go back this way. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to go about it, rather than picking a theme and then just slapping a bunch of different mechanics into it. I feel like the mechanics for a theme should be cohesive. They should make sense to be with each other, right? And that way you get a lot more, I feel like you get a lot more interesting gameplay that way. I think actually, and this might be a source for revision later. I think actually maybe I didn't do this so well with the Gravatar class, because the subclasses, a lot of their abilities augment the abilities that you already have, so I guess it's probably fine. Yeah, I guess it's fine. But, you know, my first thought when I thought about it just now was like, there's not a whole lot of like actual synergies with other class features, with the basic class features of the Gravatar. So, ow. But yeah, I think because it augments the abilities, the base abilities, a lot of their abilities augment the base abilities rather than just adding new abilities. Because I feel like that's what a lot of people will do when they make that sort of thing, is they'll just add a bunch of different abilities that sound cool, but don't really mesh in any way. They don't really work together. And honestly, maybe there might even be some of the, you know, base classes in 5th edition that do this. Oh good, weapon at risk. Okay, well, I guess we're swapping to the rifle spear for now. Yeah, so, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, right? Okay, there are my echoes. All right. We're gonna have to try this. And in the meantime, I'm kind of just trying to think of examples of base classes in 5th edition that are basically just an amalgamation of abilities. Yeah. I feel like if you're making something as big as a class, you should have some sort of cohesive vision for what that class does. Like again, in trying to think of... Oh, right. It doesn't reach that far. There we go. Okay. In trying to think of a class that just feels like a bunch of different abilities strung together, I thought of the monk class. But then I thought, like, and there are some abilities in the monk class, I think, that don't make a whole lot of sense mechanically to have with the other abilities. Like, I think it's called Timeless Body, where it's just like, oh yeah, you don't age. And sure, that makes sense thematically for a monk, right? That you find inner peace and it prevents you from aging. That thematically that fits for a monk, but mechanically it's like, how does that work with martial arts? Like how does it doesn't interact at all, right? But there are also other things like unarmored movement that monks get, where because monks are pretty much strictly melee, they need more movement than most other classes to actually do anything, right? I mean, even a barbarian has javelins they can throw, and they're pretty decent at that. Ow, fuck you. How did I miss? How did I miss? Need you to stop. Oh, you're still alive. And there's one behind me. Oh, more than one. A lot of them. Okay. Do I actually fight this or do I just run? What is over here? What is happening here? Oh my god. What in the world? Okay, we're running. 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 We're 100% running from this. Because I have no idea what's going on and there's way too much happening. Okay. Anywho. Where's the summoner again? Oh, good. Oh, good. It's that way. Cool. We're just gonna run. We're just gonna run. We're just gonna run back to the lamp. That's what we're doing. Hey, guys. Hey, guys. Bye. Later. Yep, going to the dream. Okay, thanks, bye. Yeah, I mean, I think probably the biggest offender, and I hate to say it because this class already gets ragged on a ton, the Ranger. The Ranger abilities, at least in their base form in the player's handbook, it just feels like, yeah, I mean, they're nature themed, but also they're also partly magical and they're also partly martial. And again, thematically, that's cool, but it's hard to reconcile all those things into one thing without it being, especially with the existence of things like the druid and the fighter, which is basically the two classes that constitute the what a ranger is, because a ranger is basically a fighter with druid magic. Like a little bit, and it's generally not as good as either of those classes at what those classes are good at. So it's awkward. It's awkward a little bit. But yeah, it feels like with the Ranger, and I'm not blaming anyone because I feel like this is a hard problem to get around. Specifically if you're trying to keep the Ranger as a class, which I imagine they really want to, because I'm fairly certain that Ranger is a class that has been around since like 1st edition. So yeah, how much will this give me? I don't think this will give me enough, actually. I guess we'll just go back. All right. Okay. Yeah. Ranger, I think, because there's like Primordial Bond, I think, is an ability they have. And then there's like Natural... Was it Natural Explorer, or was that the modified one? Favored Terrain, I think. Favored Terrain and Favored Enemy. And like... Primordial Awareness, or I think is the basic one. There's also Primeval Awareness, which I think is the revised one. But yeah, like those, I mean, I guess thematically they all make sense. They're like, oh yeah, and this makes the Ranger better at navigating the wilderness and, you know, identifying things in the wild and tracking things. But yeah, it's unfocused, I think. I think the Ranger class is unfocused. More so than probably any of the other classes. And I feel like it's very easy to feel that when you're playing a Ranger. Admittedly, I haven't actually played a Ranger in 5th edition because I haven't actually played 5th edition aside from DMing it, but yeah. Just from, you know, what I've been doing as a DM and my experience playing a Ranger in Pathfinder, I do think it's when you're playing that class, you feel like, okay, well, I'm not actually especially good at anything. Like, I've got a lot of different skills, but I'm not actually good at any of them. Which is funny because you might say like, oh, isn't the rogue like that too? And not really. Because the rogues are pretty much always going to be the best at stealth because, you know, expertise. I mean, I guess bards can do it too, but bards don't have a reason to spec into dex, usually. They can, and it doesn't really hurt them at all, but it's not one of their main stats. And yeah, there are things that rogues are better at than most things. Like, I'm pretty sure, well, okay, so monks are faster than rogues at most points in the game, but you have to spend a key point to be that fast, whereas rogues just get that for free. So, I don't know. It's a strange thing. Honestly, I think rogues might be kind of overpowered in 5th edition, but anyway, we can talk about that more next time. Because, as for this episode, that's a wrap. I still need to work on the next session.